gonna buffer for a little bit so we can see it on the back end.
Mayor, your mics are on.
Your mic on?
Yep.
Call to order. And welcome everybody today. We have one council member, Vice Mayor Riccardi is not going to be here today, but he's on the speakerphone, so he can hear everything that we're doing. And we have a quorum because we have three members, which gives us a quorum to have the council meeting today. I'd like everybody, if you have a phone, please mute it so that we don't get disturbed. Be greatly appreciated. There's a no smoking sign, so you can't smoke. Just see if you're paying attention. I'd like to motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Syke? Thank you, Jimmy. Mr. Syke?
Well, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I had thought a lot about the scripture for the day and finally decided on 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1 through 8. This is referred to by some people as the love scripture or even Valentine's scripture. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. It says, I may speak in different languages of people or even angels, but if I do not have love, I am an empty bell or crashing cymbal. I may have the gift of prophecy, I may understand all the secret things of God and have all knowledge, and I may have faith so great I can move mountains. But even with all these things, if I do not have love, I am nothing. I may give away everything I have, and I may even give my body as an offering to be burned. But I gain nothing if I do not have love. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous. It does not brag. It is not proud. Love is not rude, is not selfish, and does not get upset with others. Love does not count on wrongs that have been done. Love is not happy with evil, but is happy with the truth, and patiently accepts all things. It always trusts, always hopes, and always remains strong. Love never ends. Probably you think my devotion is going to be on Valentine's. I had thought originally about St. Valentine's, but something happened Sunday that changed my mind. It was being an old football coach, the 57th Super Bowl playing, got my attention. I stopped watching the NFL a few years ago when they started all that crazy stuff, kneeling and disrespecting our flag and our country. And I said we're going to watch it again, but last year somebody told me, hey, they kind of got their act together here. It's not that bad. So I said, well, I'm going to watch it again. So having been watched all 57 games before, I'm probably one of the few people here old enough to see all 57. But the one this year kind of reminded me of the beginning, the way we saw some of the traditional values, faith, family, love of country. So I decided to watch it. And then I'm looking over while they're warming up, and there are these players in the end zone down on their knees. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. And I look closer, hey, those guys are praying. You know, what in the world? They can get in trouble for that, but they're praying to God. And I said, you know, I kind of like this. Even the two starting quarterbacks turn out to be men of faith, and they don't mind sharing their faith. They're proud to be Christians. And I got to thinking more, hey, a few years ago, you know, that's what got old Tim Tebow drummed out of the league there. The political correct police caught him praying and saying scripture. So then, the national anthem. And look up, there's old Chris Stapleton now singing that song. Boy, he looks like Grizzly Bear, big old guy. But what a voice and what a rendition of the national anthem. And as I looked around, I saw players with tears in the eyes and coaches. And then the one coach for the Eagles, some of you probably noticed, what looked like Niagara Falls, tears just going down that guy's cheek. And I'm wondering, what in the world could he be feeling emotionally? But here's the height of his career. And then, I think back to when I was playing and coaching, you did feel proud. You hear the national anthem, you put that football helmet under you, and the one I had, it was leather, by the way, Barry.
Don't look at me.
That's why my nose is twisted.
Oh,
Well, you put that helmet under your arm and stand there, and I get misty eyed just thinking about it there. So I was so proud to see that, and you think of faith and family and country, and then lo and behold, you look up and you see this flyover coming on these beautiful fighter planes, and then the announcer says, "Oh, by the way, this is an all-female fighter pilot squadron." Boy, you're a family here now with this, so that's why I decided to do my devotional on the Super Bowl this year instead of Valentine, because the Chiefs won, but I don't think either team was a loser, and it gave me hope there, looking at maybe the pendulum is swinging back a little bit, and we hopefully will have before we have pride in the country again. Would you bow your heads, please? I'd like to take a moment in silence and memory of Mitch before we go on. Lord, we thank you so much for letting us come together here. We thank you for this beautiful day you've sent us. We pray that you'll be with Joe, our president, with Roy, our governor, with Barry, our mayor, Bob, our town council manager, and all the council. And we ask, Lord, you continue to bless us, and pray that you'll be with all of our EMTs, firefighters, military, law enforcement. And we ask, Lord, you continue to bless the United States of America and Beach Mountain. Amen.
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 thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So your public comments, are you all talking about the same issue or separate issues?
We all had different ideas.
Different ideas, okay. Then was Corey. You're up first, what's your idea? Just,
You're getting hit with the whole family today. Every day's kind of all over the place.
just, give your address so she can record it.
710 Pine Ridge Road. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to y'all, and thank you for all you do to help our community. Two topics I wanted to touch on. The first is the convenience center. I know that keeps coming up in conversation amongst you all, and when I came to the budget meeting, it was a hot topic. I did some thinking about it, and I wanted to just offer that we are receiving 2 pickups a week, and we have recycling services. So do we really need to have trash drop-off at the convenience center if we're getting picked up 2 times a week? We have county dump options right on the mountain, plus in the area, and I hit several of them, just depending on where I am and what I've got, and they can offer a broader range of items that are accepted that our convenience center can't take. So I just offer that up as an option maybe. Keep recycle open, just maybe regular hours. People can get in there and do their recycling, maybe do metal and furniture, I don't know. But it's just my 2 cents. I think the 2 pickups a week is more than adequate. There's a lot of people on the mountain that don't even have access to the convenience center, and they seem to be doing okay. So just wanted to offer that up. Second thing is traffic is still a problem on the weekends with the ski resort. I know we talked, there was conversation at the budget meeting about paying for the sledding hill, paying for other things. What if we just made all the lots on the mountain pay lots, just in those peak times when life is confusing? So maybe people are more intentional about what they're doing, more respectful of our properties. We seem to have a real problem with people wanting to just be willy-nilly. They're so hot and heavy to get up to the resort that they'll do just about anything to get out of their car and get up there, and it's not safe. I think it makes the town look bad. I think that people's impression is not that the resort isn't doing their job, it's that why don't they have planning or some sort of routine happening that will prevent this. This last weekend on Saturday, I saw that all these people had gone down and they were all being sent back up. There was a man standing up here, he wasn't stopping anybody. So it just, I feel the frustration for those people that are just trying to come and have a good time. I think that we could take advantage of the parking lots that we have and just charge straight across the board like we do for the one pay lot that we have, which I kind of feel like that's the timeout lot. If you're here too late, you get to go to the pay lot. So maybe it would just be better if we had people pay for everything when we have a lot of traffic. Also, I think we need to post some signs about this being a state highway between here and the resort, and that walking along the highway is not allowed. It's kind of like when you're in a big city, before you get on it says no scooters, no motorbikes, no walking. Just, I don't think people know that. We don't have any way to demarcate the parkway that still says it's a highway. You get that coming up, but you don't get it once you get here. So I don't think people realize until they get to the resort it's still a highway. That's all I have for you today. I hope you take my thoughts into consideration, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Noel McMichael, 710 Pine Ridge Road. So just some quick comments about the local wildlife. So first off, what is chronic wasting disease? Chronic wasting disease is a fatal neurological illness occurring in North American cervids, including white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, and moose. Since its discovery in 1967, CWD has spread geographically, increasing prevalence locally. CWD is contagious. It can be transmitted freely within and among cervid populations. No treatments or vaccines are currently available. Chronic wasting disease is of great concern to wildlife managers. It has been detected in at least 23 states, 2 Canadian provinces, and South Korea. CWD is not known to infect livestock or humans. CWD is transmitted directly through animal-to-animal contact and indirectly through contact with objects or environment contaminated with infectious material, which includes saliva, urine, feces, and carcasses of CWD-infected animals. Chronic wasting disease has an extended incubation period averaging 18 to 24 months between infection and the onset of noticeable signs. During this time frame, animals look and act normal. The most obvious sign of CWD is progressive weight loss. Numerous behavioral changes also have been reported, including decreased social interaction, loss of awareness, and loss of fear of humans. Diseased animals may also exhibit increased drinking, urination, and excessive salivation. All CWD symptoms can have other causes and could lead to misdiagnosis of the condition if the animal is not specifically tested for CWD. October 2022 was the 3rd time in North Carolina that a deer has tested positive for chronic wasting disease. The deer was hunter harvested in Surrey County, about 10 miles from the 2 previous positive detections, which were in Yadkin County. Currently, there is no evidence of transmission of CWD from cervids to humans. The consumption of hunter-harvested venison and hunting will be a vital management tool used to survey for spread of the disease. In 2020, the deer population was estimated as over 50 per square mile in Watauga County across the entire county, and between 40 to 50 per square mile in Avery County across the whole county. This population is of course an average, and based on simply looking around Beech Mountain and living up here, it's hard to imagine we are only talking about 50 deer per square mile up here. While the town is obviously concerned about more obvious dangers from wildlife such as from the black bear population, it's time to consider measures need to be extended to less predatory wildlife as well. A large deer population with plentiful food and a lack of predators is one which is especially vulnerable to disease and able to spread it quickly by simply roaming around its usual territory. This is facilitated both by a lack of hunting and by permissive behavior by humans, such as feeding or failing to create barriers to movement or access to human-made debris. While visible wildlife can certainly be a draw or a point of interest for tourists and native alike, there's a balance that must be struck, and it's apparent there's no balance in the current policies surrounding the deer population up here, and this needs to change sooner rather than later. So I urge the council, given the likelihood of CWD spread in North Carolina in the coming years, the size and lack of timidity of our deer population, and the potentially catastrophic effect on the natural beauty of our town and counties in such an outbreak reaching us here, it's time to consider suitable measures to curtail the deer population and correct behaviors in the local deer which would allow the disease to spread. These don't have to be drastic, but they do have to begin soon. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert?
Robert McMichael, 710 Pine Ridge Road. Got the whole family.
And that's it, nobody else lives there.
Yeah, nobody else, just us. Good afternoon. I would like to commend the town and the board for all your efforts to publicize and provide access to the recent town planning budget meeting. I wasn't able to be here personally, but I did take advantage of the live stream, so thank you very much. It's very informative. It's the kind of information that we need to have. I do have some concerns about the board's approach. The priorities approach seems to focus on spending additional money at a time when we need to be saving tax dollars, and that should be our focus. Why 5 priorities rather than 3 priorities? Or better yet, just the one priority of lowering spending and taxes. The taxpayers, all of us, need to have a clear baseline budget for what it costs to run this town for a year as is, with normal staff, normal services, police, fire, ambulance, trash, road clearing, debt service, and things like depreciation on capital equipment, so when that garbage truck finally croaks, we can afford to buy a new one. But just that, what does that cost? What is the tax rate for that going to be? We need to understand what it is for the necessary expenses. Then we can have a meaningful discussion concerning additional spending. What are the things we have to have? Like continuing multi-year plans, things we started last year but got to go this year and are going to go into next year, but aren't forever things. Things like replacing equipment and things like, I think like coffee is an example of something we're spending money on every year, but it's not going to be forever. Then we can add that in and see what it is. Now we have, what we have to spend. So what is that rate? Where are we? Now we can talk about the extras and whether the costs for those are really justified in an era and a feeling by the population and the taxpayers and the voters that we need to cut our taxes and restrain spending. That's how we all budget at home. We figure out, what are our baselines for food and rent and those things, and then we know what we can spend on vacations. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opening things up to let us see the process and how the sausage is made. And thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, everything Judy put her name on. I did. I'm done.
You're out of luck.
Judy Elliott, 105 T-Berry Lane. I'm speaking today on agenda item 7.2, which is to approve the bid for improvement and repairs for Town Hall, Police Department, and Visitor Center. While I realize these buildings are intertwined, I'm focusing my priority on improving the police facility. As we all know, we are far away from additional police and fire support. It is imperative that they have the most up-to-date facility and equipment possible. You and your family's lives and safety may depend on it one day. It is my understanding that the TDA originally proposed giving the town $900,000, but they have cut it back to $600,000. They have the money to cover the extra $300,000. What could be more important than honoring their original amount? I am hoping that others in our town would support this request and that the town council would use those additional funds towards this facility. The TDA's last financial report showed $1.47 million in the bank. The money is available. The need is important. The marketing potential is very high, and our tourists need this also. Let's get this done. Our visitors need this for the residents, the businesses, staff, and everyone involved. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to the consent agenda.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Park and Recreation Committee reassigned. Is there any discussion? Anybody wants to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion to appoint Kathy, and I'm sorry on your last name, Bubesh, to this committee. I think it'd be a great new addition, and that's it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. You're now stuck. So if anything goes wrong? No pressure, but just remember. All right, now the approval of the bid for the town hall expansion. Open up for discussion.
So I would like to put in public record this accounting that Chief just gave to us this morning, making sure that's in there, showing, and Chief, what's the basic cost on just maintaining what we have? Where are we with just maintaining?
Well, as Jeff Fish and I pointed out in the report, this project has been in the planning stages for about 2 years. There's a substantial amount of maintenance to the buildings that has not been done. For instance, a major cost would be the roof needs to be replaced. We have numerous leaks and it's been patched. The HVAC equipment is original. Many of it needs to be replaced. I don't have an exact number, but it's probably, I don't want to give you a number. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars of maintenance that needs to be done regardless of the expansion. It made no sense, and we discussed it at a budget hearing, to put a new roof on the building if we were going to cut into the roof and do an expansion. It made no sense to replace the electrical generator, which has failed, needs to be replaced if we're going to put that into the project. So I don't have a number for you exactly, but it's substantial. The building needs, it hasn't had a major renovation or upgrade since 1989. And so the roof, the HVAC, our electrical generator, notwithstanding the rotten wood on the exterior, the pedestrian bridge that has failed, those are all issues that have to be done regardless of the project for renovation. It seemed to be a prudent use of funds and efficient to do one project, increase the space that we need because we're out of space in town hall. We're out of space in the visitor center. and build in those maintenance items so that we don't spend money and then 2 years, 5 years down the road decide to do a major renovation or an increase in space and have to cut into the roofs as this project does. Does that
So-
answer your question?
Yeah, it does, but based on the number of employees that we currently have in town hall, and based on expansion that you're thinking about space-wise, where are we just currently with the number of people that we have in town hall?
Well, as I wrote to you in the packet, we actually have employees who are doubled up in offices that should be single offices. The reason that's an issue is, for instance, the tax collector can't have a meeting with a taxpayer over their tax bill without another employee sitting in there that's doing building permits. We have employees who actually are working in closets that were originally designed as closets. Our plan review for new plans is actually in the kitchen. So we are, when I say we're out of space, it's not an exaggeration. You have approved an employee for the finance department in the current budget that I can't hire because I don't have a place to put them. The public does not have any privacy in interfacing with some of our staff. Tax is one issue. When someone comes in to contest a tax bill or talk about a water issue or personal financial issues, there's not a place in town hall for that conversation to take place, even in a semi-private fashion.
Okay, so the police department, when I went through and was taking a look, the space that they're supposed to be allocated legally is not a space that's currently available, correct?
Correct. The,
Okay.
our evidence, collection and security does not meet minimum state standards. We've outgrown the space. I took you into the captain's office and he has evidence in boxes in his office. That can't continue.
But the space that you're proposing with what we have sitting here then would create evidence lockers, or would it create?
The project creates a provable evidence secure storage. It's actually two functions. It's receiving and processing the evidence, because not all evidence gets secured and gets held for future court or litigation. And then it moves into the evidence securing area. And this project provides both of those spaces.
Okay. And then the gun storage place is separate from where it currently is, or?
Yeah, we're kind of airing our dirty laundry here. We have our weapons and ammunition is improperly stored in a closet. That's not appropriate, and it needs to be secured, obviously for security reasons. It needs to be put in its proper location. We don't have the space to do that. Similar to our computer room for the 911 system. The project requires it to, and provides space for it to be standalone and secured. And I took you in there last night and we have storage. We have old computers, we have bottles of water, we have old records that are in our computer room. That's not appropriate and it needs to be taken care of.
All right, my next question on this one is, I know there's a lot of people that don't stop by a visitor center on their way up this mountain. So talk to me more about expanding the visitor center and the justification on that.
Well, actually, we average about 35 visitors per day in the visitor center, a little over 1,000 visitors per month. We give you those statistics every month when we report on our visitor center operation. So I would argue that it's not used and a lot of people don't come in. We get quite a few. The visitor center expansion is to accommodate a number of things. Currently, the visitor center is an open space, and we have 4 employees working in an open space without any dividing walls. When the public stands at the counter, they see and hear everything that's occurring. Understand that the visitor center isn't just for visitors who come in. Our economic development department works out of there. So if a potential business person wants to come in and talk to us about developing a business on the mountain, those need to be in somewhat semi-private fashion because it's not a public announcement. Hey, I want to buy this building or I want to build something. So those conversations need to be taken away and we move somewhere else. Very unprofessional. When the public is interfacing with the staff, there's no demarcation. So this project provides a conference room and 2 offices for the economic development and the visitor center staff, not only to handle the visitors who come in, but do our economic development, our digital marketing that's handled where we actually put together our digital marketing plans, create the content. We have a radio station that has to have the radio content recorded. It's very difficult. If you listen to our radio station, you can tell when we're busy because you can hear people asking questions and talking in the background. We've got a space for that in the expansion in the visitor center. We run 2 cable TV stations in the town that are produced there at the visitor center by that staff. Currently, just like the digital marketing, that's done in an open atmosphere, and it's just not appropriate. When you go through there, there's a tremendous amount of paper storage, rack cards, maps, everything that we use to hand out to the public, and that is actually stored improperly per the fire code. I hate to tell you that as the fire chief, next to our radio and TV equipment. And lastly, an expense, a substantial expense at the visitor center is we do not have an ADA, an accessible bathroom. And when you're open to the public as a visitor center, that's something we should have and required. So we've designed an ADA bathroom that's a family bathroom with changing tables, but it's wheelchair accessible. And that's being added into this footprint of the project.
Will that restroom be used for only ADA?
No, sir.
Or is it?
It's a public bathroom, but it's accessible and it meets the accessibility requirements of the ADA, which we do not have.
And the entire front of the building, based on the plans that we saw, is gonna look like the front of this building, except for the addition over.
Yes, ma'am. The challenge was for the architect to design a building that looks like it was one building in the beginning, when in fact it was not. And this building has had a new facade put on the front at the main entrance. So the design is very unique, where it combines all the buildings. We put an addition in the courtyard for the between police and the visitor center. And then the entrances, there'll be 3 similar looking entrances, the one similar to the council chambers, the main entrance where the flags are, and then the new entrance to the visitor center will look similar and be facing out towards the street. So the building will look, when it's done, it will look new and fresh, and more importantly, it'll look as a continuous building as if it was always designed that way.
And then parking wise, are we losing or gaining parking?
We're gaining 4 spaces by the reconfiguration of the visitor center. We pick up 4 spaces in this plan.
And then we have the handicap accessible bridge that's being rebuilt.
Yes, ma'am.
In the
We have a handicap ramp at the front of the building for the first floor, and then I didn't mention this, but we do have a bridge in the back to the second floor, handicap bridge. It has failed and needs to be replaced as well.
Okay. I think that was most of my questions.
You know, some of the items that you mentioned about the facility not being up to par, I think we need to use this as a learning experience, and at our business, we're big on preventative maintenance, where you can cut things off ahead of time so you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair the HVAC system or repair the roof or the rotting wood. You know, I think we need to stay ahead of the curve and use this as a learning experience and make sure that we, moving forward, we keep an eye on our facilities, you know, before they get to a condition that we have to spend more money than what's necessary. You know, in my opinion, I think that the expansion is a need. It's not a want. and it is a significant amount of money. But however, if you take the time to walk through the facility and you look at the work environment, the work conditions, to me, they appear to be inefficient and non-productive. And maybe we could put maybe 2 people in Chief Pudney's office, since he's got the largest office here. But,
Come on down.
But he doesn't have a closet.
no.
I think too, just to clarify, go through the financing part of it before we approve it.
Yeah, of course.
What's going where.
Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
gonna talk.
like,
I think we need to, yeah, let the taxpayers know.
you know, we can sit here and talk about the pros and cons for hours, but until you actually firsthand go walk through the facility, you'll, in my opinion, you will see that it's, this is necessary. Our town today isn't what it was 15, 20 years ago, and I think we need to proceed with it.
Well, we've been talking about that for the last 15 years, as far as the town hall. So I think it's something we should really take into consideration.
I do wish that, you know, if TDA, allegedly TDA had committed 900,000, I wish they would have stuck with the 900,000, but 600 is better than
Well, I'll have to blame Sandy for
than
that.
nothing. So, oof.
Bob, you want to go over the financial side of it?
Yes, let me just tell you how we got to where we are. As you know, we've been discussing this project for 2 budget cycles, and both the town and the TDA have budgeted funds to get us to this point. And obviously, when you get to today, where we're asking you to accept the bid, all the work of designing, engineering, planning has been done. And we have spent about $117,000 to get to where we are today in design and all those things I just mentioned. So today is the culmination of about 2 years worth of work and 2 budget cycles that you've been in. You'll recall that we budgeted $800,000 in the current budget to get us to this point. So the financing is the TDA graciously agreed to a $600,000 grant for this project. They wanted to be made it clear, and I put it in my memo to you, that that was for the visitor center portion of the project only, that they are not funding any of the town hall public building. They made that part of their motion. So we have $600,000 from the TDA represented in this.
Excuse me for 1 second. Does that include the 150,000?
Yes, it does.
So in reality, we've already got 100, so we're getting 450 more.
Correct. They budgeted 275 in this budget, and the remaining commitment is 175 for a total of $600,000 towards the $1.8 million.
Okay.
We have $250,000 in our budget left for this project. So our contributions to date is the $850,000 that does not need to be financed. The amount to fund is $1,038,231. I've given you 2 options. There's more if you'd like. One option is I suggest that the town finance that. We already are putting in $850,000. Finance the $1,038,231 at the best rate. I had the finance director call around. The rates right now are between 4 and 4.5%. The point is, if you're going to finance it, we'll put that financing together starting tomorrow, and I have to bring that back to you anyways for approval, but that is currently what the rates are. Option 2, in an attempt to save on interest at say 4.5% interest, is to use $500,000 out of fund balance, making the financed amount $538,231, and that's option 2 that you have available to you. I selected the amount. You can make that amount anything you want to buy down to make a down payment on the loan. I selected that amount because the finance director and I believe that we can afford to do that and not adversely affect our fund balance. So Mayor and Council, the decision's up to you at this point. I'm happy to answer any questions. I've got John Merritt here. He's the architect of record who can speak about the many details of the project. If you have any questions about the plan, specifications, the bidding. The bid has been extended graciously by the contractor through the end of February 28th. So we had some delay. The TDA had some issues with scheduling and getting their meeting together. Obviously, as I've explained to you in December and January meetings, that without a number from the TDA, I couldn't bring you the financing, I couldn't bring you some final numbers. So we've got everything put together now, and the decision is up to you.
Personally, I like option 2. As we know, the town is cash flush, and use some of the money that's, I agree with you, I wouldn't go more than $500,000, but take this money out of fund balance. Currently, the fund balance is 68 cents now, Chief, approximately.
No, that's the ad valorem rate.
I'm sorry, the ad valorem rate, 68 cents.
Fund balance as of June 30, our audited fund balance was $6,069,960.
$69, I have a problem.
Well, that's
Buy lunch?
that's a nice lunch.
And we take some of the money out of $500,000 out of fund balance and buy down the debt. What kind of term are you looking for this note?
Well, we looked at 7 and 15 years, just preliminarily. We'll find the best rate. If you want to give me some direction for the finance director to look at, we'll do that. Debt service is something that we don't want to go exceptionally far out because we have other debt. So we can do any term that you would desire, but we had looked at 5 and 15 or 7 and 15.
So between 7 and 15, what was not attractive about 5? Or did you look at 5?
We didn't, but 5 makes the debt payment,
Really
higher.
Higher.
Sure.
And so, with your number one priority at the budget retreat was to cut taxes and the ad valorem rate, I have to be cognizant of the next couple years of the budget.
Well, I would just be curious.
You want us to look at 5?
I'd just like to see the numbers,
Sure.
just to see what the difference is between 5 years and 7 years, and what the interest payments would be, and would it be.
You don't want us to look at 15?
Personally, I think that's a 15-year extension is too far out. I mean, you can't.
It's a
look,
debt. It's a debt that can be paid at any time.
Sure.
And there is no penalty. So why strap yourself out for 5 years?
You can look at
With the rate at, what is it, 4%? What is it?
4.5, we think it's going to come in.
I mean, I'd like to see 15 years. I'm not opposed to 15 years, but I'd like to see some numbers. 5, 7.
I'll bring all 3.
Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, we gotta take a vote on the approval of the expansion.
I'm in approval. I think that,
Excuse me. Jimmy, what?
How are we about to vote when Whitehager's about to see the numbers on the financing part?
Well, we're gonna vote on the approval of doing it. We're not gonna approve on the financing until we get the numbers.
So I need a vote.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion in a second
I need
by
a motion.
somebody?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry,
We're spending
motion.
$1 million
I need a
here.
motion, I need a motion to accept the bid.
Motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor is aye.
Aye.
Okay, as far as the financial part of it,
So that'll be next meeting, then we'll decide on the financial part of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll have that for you in the next couple of days.
Okay.
We really need to lock it in because, as you know, interest rates are
Right.
climbing, not
Yeah.
declining.
Okay.
So we will work on this first thing tomorrow morning. and I'll communicate that to the council and have something ready for you.
Could he, Steve is right there, could you do a fast calculation?
I don't have an interest rate really, solid. I mean, I can use any interest rate you want and produce a schedule.
Because, I mean, if you use like a 4.2, 4.5,
Well, what I'd like to do is bring you a proposal that you can approve from a lending institution on what you've told us to do.
okay.
And we can work on that first thing in the morning. I just want to make sure I understand. You chose option 2,
Yes.
Correct.
okay, and you want us to bring you a 5, 7, and 15-year term at the best rate possible.
Correct.
We can do that? Do it tomorrow.
Bob, you're up.
Oh. Hang on just a minute. Here, let me find that. Manager. All right, let's see. Lake Coffee update. Actually, it's good news again. Final round with agreement with the resort. We've agreed on a process. We haven't agreed on a number, but it's the water rights going forward, and the 2 attorneys, 4 Eggers and the attorney, I can't remember his name, for the resort, as well as the engineer, are coming up with a number that says the resort has X amount of water available today, and it's a 99-year lease, so 50 years from now, they want access to that same amount of water. So we're determining what that amount is. The agency meetings with the Army Corps of Engineers and the state agencies, the engineer let us know yesterday that those meetings are moving forward. We have approvals. Now we're getting into the detail of Army Corps and designing the dam. The funding for that is our grant that we submitted for $14 million to the state has been approved at the state level and is now moved to FEMA Region 4 in Atlanta for their review. That's important that the state approved it because the state actually controls the funds. FEMA just approves whether it's appropriate or not. So it's looking better than before.
That's good news.
Our Haggerty consultants have been working very hard to do a number of things. One, move that grant forward and get it to the right people at the right time to expedite it, and that's been happening. Part 2 is arrange strategic meetings with selected legislators, state and federal agencies to move the project forward. So that's moving pretty quickly because you know the state legislature's in their long session right now in Raleigh. So we're trying to get into their offices and meet with the right people, not only to move this $14 million through, which should not be an issue, but Haggerty Consulting has identified a number of other substantial funding sources as we ask them to do. So in this month, I've got a meeting with Representative Pickett in Raleigh, I think on the 21st, and I need to know if any elected officials would like to go. Tomorrow, the governor's office is sending a representative here to meet with us, Daniel and I and Steve, to go over the project, look at the financing, go down and look at Lake Coffee. So Haggerty is, their first deliverables were last week, and so far, knock on wood, we've got some movement and hopefully we'll have some progress there. The idea is to get the $14 million grant for the lake and get the water issue taken care of, but we also, if you recall, asked Haggerty to find us several tens of millions of dollars to work on the infrastructure so that the town and the taxpayer wasn't going through this $6 million every 2 years through a loan.
Chief, is this the meeting February the 21st?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll attend that with you.
Okay. I'll
Discuss that later.
Kate is orchestrating that for the town, and I'll get those dates together. There'll be more trips to Raleigh because, as we discussed when we hired Haggerty, we can't sit on the top of Beech Mountain and expect to get these grants. We've got to get out and do what people do and lobby and get our fair share of the money. So that's what we're going to do. I do need you to consider moving forward notwithstanding grants and notwithstanding additional funding, we had talked about doing a general obligation bond in November of '23, which requires a referendum of the voters. If we don't do that and we don't start the process soon, as in March and April, we'll lose that opportunity. So I had spoken to the mayor, and I'd like consensus from the council to allow the town to start the process. You can stop it at any time, but I do believe that if our grants fall through and our lobbying doesn't work, we still have to raise money to do the project. And so a general obligation bond is another method of doing that. And if we want to move forward with a referendum in November, I need to get started in March. We've got to get some financial consultants on board. We need to get some bond counsel on board so that we get the process in place. There's a number of deadlines. Nonetheless, is getting the elections people the correct terminology for the ballot and getting that process through. And all that has to be done by June-ish sometime. So I need to know if you're interested in continuing on that path.
Do you need a motion or
I
Consensus.
need
Consent.
consensus.
consensus?
How do you feel moving forward?
I mean, if we can stop it at any point, it's not gonna hurt.
No, I agree.
I think we need to continue moving forward. We're making progress.
It's another option,
Sure.
but if
Hopefully we won't need it.
well, but hopefully not, because then the taxpayer bears the brunt of that financing. But if we don't and we lose another year or two, it just puts us that far behind. So I'll have Steve begin that process. Ski Loft Road update. We've scheduled a neighborhood meeting for the 28th of February here at 4 o'clock. We are going to update the property owners and discuss the issues that you and I need to discuss at closed session today, so I'll leave it at that. Good news on the Pinnacle Ridge well. A notice to proceed has been issued. The contract begins March 1st. There's a 12-month construction process and testing and getting the state to approve the water before it goes online. So realistically, we'll start construction and it'll be a year before we can put water into the system. But that's good news. We spent 90 days getting permitting and notice to proceed. I want to talk to you about the traffic issues on weekends. You heard something from the public today. I've heard quite a bit from the public over the last month or so, and I want to just bring you up to date and let you know what we've been doing. We haven't been just sitting around. We've made quite a few adjustments. It's a function of there's too many visitors, too many vehicles, and not enough pavement. So when all the parking is full, paid or free, people are parking on the sides of the roads. They're parking in private property, and the nice lady who said they just willy-nilly get out and run away, they do. So we've had weekly meetings with the resort, and the resort has stepped up. They have hired off-duty police officers to assist with the entranceway. We put up signage about if you park on the side of the road, you'll be ticketed and or towed. There were 75 parking tickets that were issued based on that criteria this last period that the chief has reported to you in his report. And we've worked with the resort so that they tell us, and we have someone there on the ground before the last parking lot fills up. They begin the transition to the overflow lot across the street from Town Hall, and we facilitate that. So the town has been contributing additional police officers at our expense to handle the traffic. And this last weekend, although I think we had fewer visitors, the traffic was substantially better than the weeks before. We have a big weekend coming up, President's Day weekend, and all hands will be on deck. The bottom line is that when more cars show up than we can park or we can put on the roads, traffic backs up. Combine it with bad weather on a Friday. We have a number of accidents on the front side of the mountain. We've closed the mountain 2 or 3 times on the front side because of accidents, and predominantly it's people coming up here that either have the wrong equipment or the wrong expertise in how to drive in questionable weather. The police chief is on top of this, believe me. He's been working himself. The captain's been there, additional police officers. I want you to know that it's not just, oh well, and we've made substantial progress. And if you park on the side of the road, you're going to get ticketed and or towed.
Are we able to funnel any of that traffic through Buckeye Creek Road?
Well, yes, actually, Buckeye Creek Road became an issue where we had multiple vehicle accidents on Buckeye Creek Road. At the same time, we had accidents on the front of the mountain, and both entrances were closed. Again, it's a function of too many vehicles, not enough real estate. So Buckeye Creek Road is being used as an entry and exit point. We struggle because people come up here with their GPS on their phone, and it takes them either up Ski Loft to get to the resort, which we all know doesn't work, or it brings them up Pinnacle Ridge when in a bad weather is not, we all know not to go that way. And so we put a sign down there that said resort, turn left, and take Pine Ridge. And we actually have people argue with us in the police department showing us their GPS. No, I need to go up here. No, you need to follow the sign. So to answer your question, yes, we've been using that as an outlet point. We did ask the TDA to reduce their advertising for weekend visits. They agreed, and they're advertising for during the week, let's say Tuesday through Thursday. Because it doesn't pay, obviously, to spend money to bring people up here if we can't accommodate them. So my observation to my staff and to the resort has been we're actually making nobody happy. The residents aren't happy because they can't drive around the mountain. There's too much traffic. The visitors aren't happy because they arrive here and it's crowded. There's traffic jams. They can't get to the resort. So at the end of the day, we're spending all this money and making nobody happy. So we need to find that happy medium to handle the traffic better as best we can and provide a smoother operation with the resort. And I will tell you, a lot of people throw down on the resort, but Mr. Costin has been very cooperative, has met with our police department on a regular basis. I speak to him usually every Monday and ask what we can do to improve the process. So everybody's working as hard as they can. We're just too darn successful.
The resorts, they've got parking attendants at every entrance of each parking lot. And compared to, I think in the past, with the high volume of traffic that we've had on Beach Mountain, which is a double-edged sword, they've done a better job parking cars. And, you know, may not be able to see the impact, but it has had a better, more positive impact. You know, and it's the traffic that we have up here, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you go down Gatlinburg, Tennessee on a Friday or Saturday night, you know, 52 weeks out of the year. It's no different than Beach Mountain. You go to Carolina Beach or you go to Wilmington or anywhere, you know, on a high traffic weekend. Is it a problem? Yes, but I think what we can do, and Ms. McMichaels mentioned, you know, paying for the parking lots, and I think probably one of the issues we'll run in there is that we only have like one lot that is owned by the town that we can charge. Everything else is privately owned. But
True.
it's a good problem, bad problem.
The pay plan is complete. We're going through the final draft. There will be a presentation to you by the MAPS consultants at the March 8th council meeting.
The pay plan, sorry.
The
Pay
pay
for
and
parking?
classification. No,
Oh.
I'm sorry. The employee pay and classification.
Oh, gotcha.
I kind of
Okay.
transitioned.
I
from
was
pay
still back
parking
on
to pay
parking.
plan.
I was
Sorry
going,
about
what
that.
pay plan?
Chief, in terms of the pay plan, I know a few years ago where the employees were paying a little bit more for their insurance, and there was like a 3-year window or 5-year window. Where are we with the employees' insurance?
This budget is year 3 of that plan to have them increase. It will be a 50% at this, per the direction of council 2 years ago. We did a 3-year implementation.
Correct.
And this is the 3rd year, so you'll see that in this budget. That's not contained in the pay plan.
Correct.
Good news. I'm going to brag about the fire department here a little bit. Many of you know we went through our 5-year ISO insurance rating inspection from the state of North Carolina, the fire marshal's office. The end result is we got a better rating. The fire department came through with shining colors. The number they received was a 4. We were a 5. One is perfect. What this means to the community is predominantly businesses and homeowners can see a reduction in their annual fire insurance premium. The lower the number goes, the lower the rate is supposed to be. It affects businesses and commercial between a 5 and a 4 more than residential, but everybody should enjoy that annual savings on their fire insurance. So as you know, I kind of moved out of the fire station and came here, and we had the fire department kind of run on autopilot. I got to tell you, they did a great job. So in 5 years, they've improved for a volunteer fire department. They're one of few in the state that have a 4. And so to Riley Hatch, Tim Holland, Kevin Carr, and everybody that made that happen, congratulations. They did a really good job. So if you could turn to page 69 in your packet, please, for Parks and Recreation. And if you would look on the bottom, the director's notes, I would just like some consensus. We would like to amend our camping rules at Shane Park. Currently, we don't allow any vehicle camping like RVs or buses or things like that. But there's a niche camper that's a van with a tent that pops up on the top, and we've had a few of those who've come in and asked to camp, and we've had to turn them away. Sean Woyle, our Parks and Rec director, would like us to allow him to change the policy. We still will prohibit RVs that plug in, or we have no connections there. But if it's a tent that's on these pop-up vehicles, we would like permission to amend our policy on those.
Does that include Sprinter vans or just?
No, those are enclosed. Those are an RV. Those are a Class B RV. This would be it's actually a tent that goes on the back of a camper or pops out of a pickup truck.
Yeah, but when we authorized Shane Park, that was a very contentious issue, was the
Vehicles.
The vehicles and the campers. So to be honest with you, I'm definitely not in favor of it.
Okay.
I mean, it was set up for outdoor camping, and that's the whole purpose of it. I think once we start, and I know what the type of vehicles you're talking about, but the next thing is somebody wants to tow a trailer, then what happens? Or somebody takes a van and converts it into a camper. I think we open ourselves up to completely different to what we proposed when we built Shane Park.
I'm good with. That's why I brought it to
So
you.
your whole purpose with Shane Park is just, it's got to be on the
Outdoor
ground.
camping.
Okay.
That's when it was built. That was the whole idea when it was designed.
I just bought one of those tents for my truck.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, I had my reservations about Shane Park, but
Mr. Shane and his wife say about it?
I don't know, Councilman.
Yeah, I'd like to get their opinion before voting on something like that.
Well, we're not voting it anyway.
and
It's just a consensus. It's a consensus.
then if you allow the van that has the pop-up tent, I
It's
think
a camper. It's a
we
camper.
ought to allow the little Sprinter vans and then the little small RVs. I mean, in the wintertime, you're gonna have very few people that are going to actually pitch a tent pitch a tent down there, and you look at the number of vans that come skiing in the wintertime, the Sprinter vans that have no place to go when they come to the resort. I think we ought to look into it a little deeper.
I agree with Jimmy. Let's see what Dr. Shane wants to do on that one.
Did he sell his house yet?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure what to ask him based on our discussion. So,
Like, what would be the level of?
so right now, and the Shanes were part of this in the beginning. Right now, we have 7 campsites, and you don't camp in the parking lot. You camp on a campsite. You can't do that with a vehicle. So what we were asking for was a change to have the pop-up tent on a vehicle. Do I ask Dr. Shane for the Sprinter van and the smaller
Well,
camper?
See, that's the point. Now we're trying to expand,
No, I just need to know what to ask.
and it was not built for that purpose.
It was not.
It was built strictly for camping.
on those
On-ground
designated
camping.
sites.
That's why we built the bathroom with showers and facilities for them to use. We put an outdoor sink so they can wash their dishes and all the other stuff. So, yeah, once we start with one, we're never gonna end.
Okay.
Next thing we'll have RVs parked there. So,
I'm not opposed to the RVs parked there, if
but
we
it
have,
wasn't built for that.
if we
purpose.
have adequate space.
Okay, so I will reach out to Dr. Shane and talk to him about this conversation, and I'll bring it back to you maybe. How's that?
Thank you.
Last thing I've got is I need the Economic Development Council of Watauga County. We had the mayor assigned to that, and I've got an email that Councilman Abernathy would like to switch. And so we let David know at the EDC, and it requires a motion and a vote because we appointed the mayor. So if that's what we want to do, I need a motion and a vote.
Wait, explain again, what are we doing?
This is the town's representative to the new Economic Development Council of Watauga County.
Okay.
Each town has a elected official assigned to it, and I understand we want to make a change.
Okay,
To make a change, I need a action of the council.
Any motion?
so you both agreed to that,
Yeah,
right? Okay, motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Mayor, council, thank you.
Hey, while you're on the rec department, I've got a couple questions on
Okay.
page 68, please.
Okay.
The revenue for January, facility report, parking lot monthly revenue, $12,000, some change. What was it for December? Or do you have that number?
It was like
$9,000.
$9,100.
Okay,
It was under 10.
all right. Also, when you go down to the membership revenue, monthly revenue, when you look at the graph, it's pushing 15 grand. Where did that number come from? When you compare it to the previous months and the previous years, that's a big number. It's a big increase.
Right. Well, if you'll go up to the box at the top, facility report, you'll see the total monthly revenue of $13,953. That's the graph. The graph is a visual of that $13,953. I purposely don't show the parking lot in that graph because that skews the graph and it skews the numbers because we're comparing it to month over month, year to year. So to answer your question, why did that go up? Well, you have instructed us to increase our rates, and we have done that over the last 3 budgets at the rec center. That's a reflection of that. We also opened up day camp registrations in this month, and those were gobbled up, so that's increased. If you look under the second paragraph, detailed revenue totals, it'll show where that money, that $13,953 is broken out. So we have program registrations, which that's predominantly camp in this number of 9,550. We have memberships, new memberships of 3,000, not new, but re-upped memberships of $3,070. We have facility reservations of 310, and our point of sale was 1,023. That equals your 13,953.
How much does it cost for a non-member to use what's the pass fee?
It's an $8 per day entrance fee per person.
$8 per day?
Yes, sir.
What's a Y charge? You know,
10.
10? Okay, so for our rec pass, it's $8?
Yes, sir.
That's reasonable. And the Y is 10.
They have a pool.
What, I'm sorry?
They have a pool.
They have a pool?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's another thing. I think
Don't go there.
I think it would be cost prohibitive to have a pool at the rec center.
Yes, it would.
We've for years and years, people have asked for it, but when you start digging into the cost, I think that that number is going to be absorbent. But
Are you doing town council comments at this point?
no, I'm talking about the rec center. Maybe look at a splash. Maybe look at a splash pad.
Huh?
Splash pad.
They're popular with kids. We need to do that. I mean, the revenue that the rec department is generating now is considerably more than what it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. But what I like about what I assume the postcards and sending out the mailings to Eagle's Nest, was that Sean or Kate? Or a
Both.
combination of both?
Both. Kate has gone down to the rec center, several reasons. I think I reported on this. One, I don't have a space for her here. Sent her to rec center to specifically work on marketing the rec center to increase membership and revenue. The outreach to Eagles Nest is part of that. Sean Royal and Kate Crisco handled the mailings, but that's all part of our program to increase the revenues at Buckeye.
So this is just an observation that the crowd, the folks that come up in the people that come to Beach Mountain in the summertime, most of them are from Florida, and most of them don't come up in the wintertime. What I see with guests that come over from Eagles Nest and come over to ski is that the demographics there are a lot closer in South Carolina and Tennessee and Charlotte and Lake Norman area. And I think we ought to look at having Kate, does Eagles Nest have an HOA?
No,
Yeah.
they're run by the developer.
We somehow need to get in touch with whoever's like director of operations and in my opinion, say, we would like to sell not for sale, but sell the idea that I'd like to have you guys come over in the wintertime and use our rec center to try to get some interest there.
Just so you know, that's what we are doing there.
And have Kate go over to Eagles Nest and sell this concept, and then maybe have 1 or 2 opening days at Buckeye Rec Center and invite these folks over and let them use the facility. But I think there needs to be, even though we're sending them postcards, there needs to be a time that someone can physically go over to Eagles Nest and sell this concept.
That's all doable.
And see if we can, see what we can do to try to generate more revenue in the wintertime.
All right, town council comments? Kelly?
My first comment is to realize that our budget process is still in the infancy stage. So I know there are several social media accounts that think we've already made decisions, which we have not made any decision. So all we're basically doing is fleshing out ideas, and the most important thing you need to do is watch the video rather than reading comments on social media about decisions that the council is making, because it will make everybody's life a little bit easier. If you don't like what we're fleshing out or whatever decisions we have sitting on the table, July is your deadline to go ahead and file to run for office. Big part on why I was asking all the questions about this expansion is TDA is paying for TDA. So remember that. You know, that's not something, it's something they need, and that's what they're paying for. So keep that close to heart, especially when you rewatch the live feed from this video. We got a cardboard box derby coming up. I think the Beach Mountain Bourbon Society is in there, so that's going to be at the Sledding Hill. And that's it for me. Happy Valentine's Day.
We're hoping for mud or snow for the
We
derby.
could do it all, yeah. Up on Beach Mountain, if you can make it through snow, mud, ice, rocks, we got it.
We're gonna
That's
try and
it for
get
me,
some
Mayor.
snow there.
Thank you. You have a comment there?
Sometimes you allow comments at the end of the first one. I just wanted to let you know there were 2 people on the TDA that did vote for the 900,000. We definitely thought that the commitment was made to the town and it was a partnership deal. To your point, Kelly, the actual chairman of the TDA worked through an extensive square footage analysis and came up with the TDA's expansion would cost $800,000. So by the TDA only funding $600,000 of it, allowing the town to run and do all of the work and planning and design, they're not even paying for the full amount that they agreed is part of the TDA. So, but you did have 2 strong votes. I will let you know, as background, there's the tourism related account, which is where they're taking the $600,000 from. But we have hundreds of thousands of dollars available in the marketing account. The TDA chair did not want to take into account any of the marketing benefits of having a financially secure town that can upgrade and expand their town visitor center and their building. Our police officers, and I think you guys all know where I stand on this, they actually see and are on the front line. They are our marketing superstars out there. And basically during the wintertime, and Chief can back me up on this, I'm sure, with wonderful statistics, they interact more with our tourists and provide a overall enhanced experience than the visitor center. So for the TDA to only want to pay for partial of the visitor center expansion and not even take into account the marketing aspect and pull from the marketing funds, I think is something that we are not fully utilizing the occupancy tax. And I was outvoted, and I accept that, but I will let you know that I will be doing everything in my power to try to get the TDA to look at the marketing potential for having the visitor expansion project. I can think of 6 press releases off the top of my head. I can name you the publications that love positive, smart, good growth stories. And that is what you guys, thank you very much for approving the expansion project. And I am ashamed and I apologize that the TDA did not give me more.
Thank you.
I don't know the correct terminology for the discussion we had on the town having some control over the aesthetics of homes and the building of the home, and I want to make sure I don't speak out of turn. But I think that too many people got wrapped up in thinking about they don't want to. The town doesn't need to tell them that they can't have a pink door or purple door, and it goes much deeper than that. There's a home up here that is it's a metal building, and and I'm going to leave these up here for anyone that wants to see it. But it's a metal building. They added windows to it. I think if I was a property owner beside them and/or had to pass this so-called house every day, I would be livid. I was looking at it from a standpoint that it's going to it could potentially bring down property values, and it's an eyesore. And I think we need to revisit this. Council was aware of this. I took a couple pictures. If you guys want to come up after the meeting and take a look at it. Thank you. I can say I got more notes if you want me to keep talking. I'm hungry.
Mayor Barry, I forgot to mention the next TDA meeting is in this room here,
Tomorrow.
on the 21st at 9 o'clock. And it's open to the public.
Jimmy?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to see a town hall meeting set for the public sometime. We use Zoom, and I'd like to see the topic of budget education.
What was it?
Topic of what?
Say that again, it didn't come out clearly.
I'd like to see a town hall meeting set up for the public for Q&A, and the discussion would be budget education.
Okay, yeah,
Sure.
good.
My question to that is can they not come to the budget meeting and/or,
Are they allowed to ask questions at the budget meeting?
No,
no?
no.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good suggestion.
Yep.
I've got it.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The only thing I understand about the TDA, we appreciate what they did. $600,000 is still a lot of money. And we appreciate them contributing. It's a new board, and they're working around these issues. But I did listen to the meeting, and I know who voted and who didn't and everything else, but I still say that they helped, and it really was appreciated. And otherwise, it probably would have never, this whole expansion would have never happened. So we can always find reasons that they didn't do it, but we have to look at the positive side, is they did do it. And so that money is in the bank, we're gonna be using it, and we'll have our expansion. So to me, that's the important part. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Sorry, excuse me, Mayor Kaufman. I would just like to point out that the next meeting, March 14th, it was misstated. I'm just pointing that out.
For
For the next regular town council meeting is March 14th. You did just adopt the change to the next work budget session is on April 18th instead of April 19th. And as Ms. Carr pointed out, that the TDA's meetings have changed as well on this new adopted schedule to the third Tuesdays of the month at 9 a.m. for TDA, which is the next February 21st. Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna go into closed session, I'll call you from there, okay? I need a motion to put on the heat. Jesus,
I was told to turn it down.
by who?
Sandy Carr.
Throw him out. We ready? Okay, I need a motion to reconvene.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then I read this. Okay, I approve and not approve for budget allocation for property acquisition in a maximum amount of $208,000.
Now you take a motion.
I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A maximum, everybody's approved it. And now I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion
Second.
approved.
Let's go home.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell Ford
Thanks for
to
being
send you
here.
on the easy nights.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.